All right. So when you draw these, your goal is to make them look as close to this as possible. So nobody gets to say, I write big, so mine's extra big. You don't get to say that. They have to be as close to the actual length as you can. And when we draw, we remember tip to tail. Nobody giggled. Marvelous. So usually people do. All right, so when we start with this one, we're going to draw U, and we're going to draw it at about the right angle and about the right length, okay? So U would be something like that. Yeah? Okay. And then wherever we finished with U, that's where we start with V. And we draw exactly the way it looks. So I'm trying to keep the angle about the same and keep the length about the same. Okay, so that's U, that's V, and if you want to label them, you can. All right, and so then we say that the resultant is what you get when you connect the original tip to the ending tail. So this right here that I drew in my purple pen, that is the resultant U plus V. The purple is the actual answer. The red is me showing the work. Okay? So these ones, whenever you have something minus, it means that you draw it, but you have the arrow going the opposite direction. So when we draw 22, we're going to take U and draw U exactly the same. So same angle, same length. And then V, the arrow is going to go the opposite way. Okay? So here, still in my red pen, there's my tip, and instead of it going down, I'm going to picture that it went up. Like this. So this is U, this is negative V, because it has the same slant to it, the same length, but the arrow goes the opposite direction. And then I still do tip to tail, and this is U minus V. Okay. How do you guys think that we do 3V? Yeah, 3 times. So we're going to do 3 in a row. So we got, there's 1V, 2V, 3V. Ish. I feel like my last one's too short. All right, so if we draw 2U plus W, I know everything's going up, so I'm going to start kind of at the bottom of my space. So I have, there's 1U, there's another U, and then W almost goes straight up and down, a little bit to the left, I guess. Does that make sense? So U times U, there's 2 U's, and then a W. And then the resultant is always starting at the original starting place and ending. And you'll notice that for my resultant, I still have an arrow on it, right? And this is my 2U plus W. And then 2U minus W would be really similar. It would start the same way, but we would have the arrow going the opposite direction, so it would go down instead. Okay, so 2U, I'm going to start the same way. So there's 1, 2U. And then to do minus W, I'm going to do the same angle of W, but instead of going up, it's going to go down. So there's 2U, there's negative W. And then the resultant. Drawing these is not my favorite thing, but it's a nice skill to have sometimes. So was this in your notes? Were there examples of these in your notes? That's what I was thinking. So I would maybe take a couple of these and write them in your notes, and write something about when it's negative, you put the arrow the opposite direction. So I would just do that so you have them in there, because I didn't think I put them in. Huh?
When we have our closer checks, is this thing like this, but it's not gonna have this on top? Because you gotta remember the rectangles and stuff.
Whenever, if I ever give you ones and I say find the resultant geometrically, I'd have to give you ones to start with. Yeah, you can't just draw them. You'd have to have something to start with. Mm-hmm. So the problems that we did for 15 through 20, and then the ones we're doing right here, it's exactly the same thing. You're adding and subtracting vectors and multiplying by scalars and stuff. Just one is done by hand, like thinking about numbers, and then one is done by pictures. So algebraically versus geometrically. So they're exactly the same thing, it looks way, way different. So for the last one, we've got w plus 2x. I can see my x is going to kind of make my picture go to the left, so I'm going to start a little bit over here. So there's w, and then 2x would be like, there's 1, there's 2. And then I look at where I started and where I ended, and I draw tip to tail.